Hill, and I wrote The Catch. This is Paisley. She's going to be helping me with this interview today. So let me look at the questions again and I can get started. Okay, what scared me most when I was a child? When I was little, I was scared of absolutely everything. I was scared of my own shadow. I was a total scaredy cat. But then I kind of got into Goosebumps books. Like when I was really little, I used to just look at the titles and the covers and scare myself. But it kind of got to the point where I could eventually read them. And around 12 or 13, I started to get a little more interested in the horror genre, and then eventually it just kind of became my genre of choice. So I'm honestly not really sure how that happened because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go from one to the other, but I guess Anne Rice did, so I'm not the only one who went from being a total scaredy cat to a total scaremonger. Alright, let's look at the next question. What scares me the most now? This is kind of, I guess, like, what scares me the most now, I mean, people are so crazy, you know? They're just unpredictable, and that to me is, somebody asked me, like, when I told them I was a horror writer, they're like, well, what's your monster of choice? My monster of choice is always going to be people. They're the scariest thing out there. I mean, nature's pretty scary, too. But, I think people are scarier in a lot of ways. They can be more insidiously scary, they can be all kinds of scary. They can be every kind of scary. With nature, I don't know, actually. The world's a scary place. Let's see what else. What is my play about? Well, The Catch is, in short, it's about a young woman who has made a deal with the devil The Catch is about a young woman who has made a deal with the devil in exchange for her boyfriend's life. I can't think of a way to describe what this play is about without spoiling every aspect of it, but it's basically, in short, it's a story about a young woman who has made a deal with the devil, or at least that's what she believes. How about that one? That one seems alright. Sorry, I'm giving you lots of material to edit. Let's see the other question. What's the hardest thing about writing horror? I guess what's hard, everyone is so different. Every person is so different that you can't, there's no surefire way to scare everyone. You're not going to scare everyone. There's nothing you can do that's going to scare everyone. But if I can quote title of show, which was on Broadway a while back, I'd rather be 9 people's favorite thing than 100 people's 9th favorite thing. I just try to scare a few people a lot. My goal is to kind of get under people's skin. Literally. No, figuratively. But, it's kind of it's just like writing anything. It's going to be hard because it's work. It's still, you have to think about just all kinds of stuff you have to think about. And also there's a lot of logistics and planning and kinds of planning that you wouldn't have to do in normal life unless you are legitimately about to murder someone, which I'm not. Alright, what's my next writing, theater, or horror project? I'm writing a novel right now. I am writing a novel. It's going to be sort of a horror coming-of-age story. The concept, I guess, is basically that even killers can come of age. It was inspired by sort of the complaint that in a lot of cases, teen literature, like stories about teens and young girls, are about that girl and everything's fine, and then she meets that boy that changes her life, and that is kind of a trope that is troubling in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I can actually attribute the inspiration for this novel to Tumblr, because someone made a crack about, then, she saw him, the first boy she would ever kill. And I was like, well, I'll write that novel. And my original intention was to make it a young adult novel, but now I'm not so sure that that's necessarily going to be the demographic that we're going for here. But it is about a young adult. She's 17 going on 18. And her sexuality, her budding sexuality, sort of takes a slightly different form than is generally the accepted form for a young girl's sexuality to take. And so on and so forth. I don't want to spoil the ending of this one for you either. Okay, so let's see what is next. Last question. What inspired you to write The Catch? Honestly, the first thing that came into my mind about this play... Okay, this play was written expressly for Fresh Blood. I didn't know to what extent there would be an audience for short horror plays, but I knew that this one audience existed, and I thought, well, I'd love to give them something, because I've loved, going to their shows and stuff. It's really been fun, so I'd like to try and give them something back. The prompt was breakups from hell, literally. So I thought, well, obviously demons, because they're literally from hell, right? I mean, I'm sure that's not what they meant, but that was kind of where I was thinking. And then I had this picture in my head of just this girl so sad, and the first thing out of her mouth is, I got the job. And, that to me is just such an interesting image, because it's so counterintuitive to what you'd be expecting to see from a character who's just landed their dream job. And the conflict, to me, the internal conflict, is what's so interesting about this story. It's like nobody really is in a place that's black and white. And that is kind of where I like to live with my writing. I like to live in a place of gray. Because I just think it's so much more interesting than trying to live in a place of black and white. Did I already introduce myself? Well, if I didn't, my name's Ria Hill. I am the writer of The Catch. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all in July.